Okay, magandang araw muli sa inyong lahat. Welcome sa ating channel, Sir Lopez Vlog. Sa araw na ito ay susubukan naman natin ang inyong mga academic preparations pagdating sa subject na Criminal Law Book 2. Okay, so this is in preparation for the upcoming board examination. Meron na tayong mga naunang self-evaluation. Tignan nyo na lamang sa ating description box para magkaroon kayo ng mas marami pang self-evaluation at ma-assist ninyo ng maigi ang inyong mga sarili. Okay, so para sa self-evaluation na ito, ang mga kasagutan ay makikita natin sa ating description box. Alright, so let's start to question number 1. A finder of lost property who fails to deliver the same to the local authorities commits what crime? A. Larceny. B. Theft. C. Qualified theft, or letter D. Robbery. Number 2. The unlawful taking with intent to gain of the personal property of another without the employment of violence or intimidation constitute what crime? A. Robbery. B. Theft. C. Qualified theft, or letter D. Highway robbery. Number 3. Any human conduct which, although not productive of some physical or material harm, would, however, unjustifiably annoy or vex innocent people is called letter A. Coercion, letter B. Unjust vexation, letter C. Theft, or letter D. None of the above. Number 4. If physical violence or moral pressure is exerted upon a person in a manner that is determined and constant until the lawful purpose is realized, the crime committed is blank. A. Threat. B. Coercions. C. Grave threat, or letter D. Light threat. Number 5. When the wrong threatened to be inflicted upon the offended party does not amount to a crime, the designation of the offense is called letter A. Threat, letter B. Expulsion, letter C. Grave threat, or letter D. Light threat. Number 6. When the wrong threatened to be inflicted upon the offended party amounts to a crime, the designation of the offense referred to as letter A. Threat, letter B. Expulsion, letter C. Grave threat, or letter D. Light threat. Number 7. It is the declaration of an intention or determination to injure another by the commission upon his person, honor, or property, or upon that of his family of some wrong which may or may not amount to a crime. A. Threat. B. Coercion. C. Compulsion, or letter D. Expulsion. Next, number 8. If a person who is serving sentence by final judgment involving imprisonment escapes prison or evades the service of his sentence, he is liable for what crime? A. Evasion of service of sentence, letter B. Malfeasance, letter C. Misfeasance, or letter D. Non-feasance. Next, number 9. If a private individual removes a person confined in jail or penal institution or helps in the escape of such person by means of violence, intimidation, bribery, or any other means, the crime committed is letter A, illegal detention, letter B, arbitrary detention, letter C, infidelity in the custody of prisoner, or letter D, delivery of person from jail. Next, number 10. Is a mock serenade of discordant noises made with kettles, tin horns, or etc. designed to deride or annoy. A. Charivari B. Alarm and scandal, letter C. Grave scandal, or letter D. Harana. 11. The crime of rape is classified as letter A, crime against nation, letter B, crime against chastity, letter C, crime against person, or letter D, private crime. Number 12. When the offender in rape has an ascendancy or influence over the girl, it is necessary to put up determined resistance. A. True, B. False, C. May be true, or letter D. May be false. Next, number 13. If multiple rape by two or more offenders, letter A, each one is responsible not only for the rape personally committed but also for rape committed by another. Letter B, each one is not responsible for rape committed by another. Letter C, both are correct, or letter D, none of them is correct. Number 14. In the course of the affray, someone is killed and it cannot be ascertained who actually killed the deceased. Who will going to be liable? A. The person who actually killed the deceased. Letter B. Person or persons who inflicted serious physical injuries if able to identify. Letter C. All those who shall have used violence upon the person of the victim, or letter D, none of them. None, I repeat, letter D, none of the participants is or are liable. Okay, medyo may hindi maganda kasi yung pagkakakonstruct ng sentence sa letter D. Okay, dapat intindihan na lang natin. Next, number 15. What is the crime committed by any person who shall intentionally mutilate another by depriving him either totally or partially of some essential organ of reproduction? A. Murder, B. Rape, C. Castration, or letter D. Mutilation. Next, number 16. In qualified piracy, the murder, rape, homicide, physical injuries must have been committed on the passengers or the complement of the vessel. A. True, B. False, C. May be true, D. May be false. 17. Professor Jose gave a failing grade to one of his students. Ang pangalan nito ay Lito. When the two met the following day, Lito slapped Professor Jose on the face. What was the crime committed by Lito? A. Corruption of public officials, B. Direct assault, C. Slight physical injuries, or letter D. Grave coercion. Next, number 18. What crime is committed whenever they have seizure of the vessel by boarding or firing upon the same? A. Mutiny, B. Piracy. C. Terrorism. Or letter D. Qualified piracy. Number 19. Act of committing treason by intellectually or emotionally favors the enemy and harbors sympathies or convictions disloyal to his country's policy or interest. A. Levying war. B. Adherence to enemy. C. Aid or comfort. Or letter D. Owing allegiance. Next, number 20. This crime is aggravated by committing at night time of the papers or effects not constituting evidence of a crime but not returned immediately. A. Trespass to dwelling. B. Violation of domicile. Letter C. Usurpation of authority. Or letter D. Arbitrary detention. Next is 21. The unauthorized act of a public officer who compels another person to change his residence. A. Violation of domicile. B. Arbitrary detention. C. Expulsion. Or letter D. Direct assault. Next is 22. The deprivation of a private person of the liberty of another person without legal grounds. A. Illegal detention. B. Arbitrary detention. C. Forcible abduction. Or letter D. Forcible detention. Next is 23. An offense committed by a married woman through carnal knowledge with a man not her husband who knows her to be married, although the marriage can be later declared void. A. Concubinage. B. Bigamy. C. Adultery. Or letter D. Immorality. Next is 24. The unlawful destruction or the bringing forth prematurely of human fetus before the natural time of birth, which results in death. A. Abortion. B. Infanticide. C. Murder. Or letter D. Parricide. 25. One who at the time of his trial for one crime shall have been previously convicted by final judgment of another crime embraced in the same title of the revised penal code. A. Recidivism. B. Habitual delinquency. Letter C. Reiteration. Or letter D. Quasi-recidivism. Okay, so natapos na natin ang ating self-evaluation sa subject na ito. Mangyari lamang na i-check nyo na inyong makasagutan gamit ang keto correction na makikita lamang dito sa ating description box. Okay, so good luck and see you again next meeting.